Welcome everyone to episode 164 of the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, recorded on this August 26, 2021. I'm your host, Mark, and I'm joined not just one, but my co-host too. They are first, Arrow. Arrow, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a week, though, of jury duty for real. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the best game, Final Fantasy Opera, Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. That's what I'm here for today. Back to you, Mark.
And we're also joined by Mino Spellgood. Mino, how you doing?
I'm all right.
All right. Well, that's very exciting. Oh, well, I'm glad to be here as we talk about all your DissidiaFFOO news and talk for the day. Before we begin, please do, if you are not following us on Twitch and you're live with us, thank you for being live. Give us a follow. Consider giving us a sub. We appreciate all your support. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like and a sub. Comment, let us know that you're watching, and of course, if you're listening on your favorite podcast apps, give us a review there and share that around. We appreciate all of you for hanging out with us each and every week. Not a lot of updates, bugs, fixes for this week. We did get known issues, which I know Inkwelder talked about last night. On the Ranting Hour. You can check out Black and Nero on YouTube. Every Wednesday they do the Ranting Hour. Inkwelder and Mino sometime are there. But Inkwelder was, Inkwelder from Tonberry Troupe, TonberryTroupe.com, was upset that the orb in-game text for one of the boss rush orbs said if the player did 10,000 damage, the orb ticked up. But if you did 10,000 damage with a single target attack or a splash attack, it did not tick up all the orbs, so that was incorrect. So they did change that. Quick on the run there, Squex. So they heard the Ranting Hour last night, or got Inkwelder's ticket. He always sends support tickets like a good boy. So appreciate that.
Male Karen.
Yeah, it's just like to speak to your manager, and that manager's name is Squex Joshua, and so they do talk on a regular basis, and so so thank you Inkwelder, and that did I mean, full disclosure, I before I listened to the Ranting Hour this morning on my way to get my new glasses, and so I didn't watch it last night or before I ran the boss rush, and so I wondered the exact same thing after I read the orb in game. And then Sabin was not ticking up all the orbs. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this in one of my runs? So I'm glad they did clarify that. Also fixed, Divine Brothers, Cosmos, and Chaos were not showing as cleared or completed. So that should be taken care of. I believe that was under addressed issues. Yeah, there you go. A few days ago. No new Leon costumes or Waka costumes. That kind of sucks. Old fat dad Waka costume when? I don't know if I'm the only one who really has been looking for that. Loser dad Waka from Final Fantasy X-2. It looks exactly the same.
Does he look any different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't look exactly.
Say,
they look exactly the same. They did not change. They did not spend any money.
Yeah. I remember playing that, Mark. He comes out, he's like, "Oh, I've gotten so fat. I put on like 35 pounds."
Yeah,
and
exactly
he's like,
the
"Look
same.
at all my scruff." And it's the same model. I was like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Exact same model.
Final Fantasy X-2 remake win.
Yeah, and pregnant Lulu also exact same model. So that baby's not going to be
like
healthy.
6 months pregnant.
Yeah, that baby's not going to be healthy.
She was like, "I'm a whale."
Yeah. I mean, you had to visualize that, I guess, a little bit, but if not, I mean, some people don't get very, very big, but generally, especially with all those belts, that can't be good for the baby. That's all I'm saying.
Medieval girdles.
Yeah. I'm not a neonatal doctor, but I'm just gonna say, ladies, watch the belts.
They looked on islands, I'm pretty sure that's exactly why she had so many belts.
Yeah,
it was basically their peasant corsets.
They are island trash. That is 100%.
Hey, get it together, Mark. Get a podcast to host.
All right, well that's it. There's nothing else to buy or to do anything. Sorry, Squegs. Come on, where's that new Leon costume? Put a helmet on that guy. Make some money. But until then, maybe we'll get some costumes here next week. Let's go into the new event, which we didn't really get to touch on last week, and that was the Equinox Aurora. Brand new event, GL exclusive content. We had never had anything like this before. This did bring the Triple BT banner, which we did talk about Shantoto mostly, but Noctis and who the hell else was on that banner?
Terra, Noctis, Shantoto.
Terra, Noctis. Terra didn't get much. Noctis got a little. Shantoto got the bulk of the stuff there. We talked about them last week. Anyone wanted to talk about? Man, I love hitting Shantoto's skill 1. I don't know about Mino, but that she does pretty big damage on some of her buttons now, and so that's a lot of fun. Any Mino, anything about these 3 characters you wanted to go over?
No, other than I don't remember if I said it last week, but if you need a dark DPS, Toto is it for now.
Yeah.
You could really ride the LD and S2. And for people who said, "What about Leon?" Leon's not a DPS. He's not going to come close to that damage. Also,
he is not. How many buttons would would Leon have to press to equal Shantoto's damage? It would be several, and the boss would have to take a lot of turns. So.
Yeah, and the bonus is so we got the 2 triple BT banners switched. So Toto's banner was supposed to come after boss rush.
Yeah,
we got it before, and I've seen a good amount of people use Toto BT for that final wave. So apparently her BT effect, boosts weakness damage by like a fat percentage, right?
Well,
like
the big thing about the big thing about using Shantoto in the last wave, because I did do a run with Shantoto in the last wave. It's her Ruins Curse gives a defense down 100% if she's in your party, and so if you stack that with quite a few other defense down, not only that, she's doing great weakness damage and everything else. So so I mean, and Accursed Gaze is defense down 20, right? So I mean, she's doing huge defense down in your party, and we'll talk about that when we get to that. And then her BT effect 100% weakness damage up. So she is actually, if you want to try to go full on move through the defense as opposed to ignore the defense strategy, she's really good in your party, and she does have a burst which gives you she can do like 4 million in her burst. It's ridiculous.
A unique paralyze that is never immune to unless you know more Equinox shit throws bullshit our way. But also, no, seriously guys, like I was looking through, I feel like dark DPS is a very hard role to cover. There's never 2 good options at a time.
No.
So moving forward, our next good option is shit. I can't even think of it.
Zonde gets LV boards.
He's not going to come up to the same level. He's not coming up to the same level.
And he doesn't get his BT yet. We don't have a Zonde BT yet, right? So,
VVLD technically when his LD is supposed to come, I guess he can suffice. But just something to consider, especially since we've seen the first wave of Equinox. What kind of, they're throwing Equinox at us. Abyss probably isn't done yet either. Probably a safe pick to bolster up that roster.
Tio says it's 1KK and 100,000 gems. Yeah, no, that's not. Tio, thanks for watching. Thanks for first-time chatter. Appreciate that. Infamous Element, you're eating my name. And thank you for the subscription. Appreciate you hanging on and hanging out there. But yeah, Tio, it's just 1.1 million gems. That is not a lot. That's very little. If I had 2 million, that would be a lot. That would be a disease. Under 2 million, that's just a veteran, your average veteran. Summon Biscuits, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that. I wasn't quite sure what that message meant until I thought about it for a second. So let's break down these 3 fights. So we did get, this is kind of a 2-part event. It's not, it's kind of like an Abyss, but it doesn't have all the, you don't have to go in and do all the crap. You can just go to the event, which is kind of nice. There's no map, in other words. The first part of the event was some co-ops and chaos and just co-ops and a chaos fight, and there is also a challenge quest, so you can get that BT orb. Of course, the challenge quest characters were that Rosa and Reno on this as well, right? Rosa, Reno, and the 3 BT banners.
Yeah.
Yep. So that gave you quite a few options to beat that. So it shouldn't have been too bad for anybody with those BT options. And then the prize, and you could go straight to this. You didn't have to unlock anything, which was really cool. So all those completionists who really needed to be the first person at it, they got to go in and just do Lufania right off the bat. And they were 3 different ones. Of course, they were perfectum based, so you had to bring 3 different teams to get the perfect and get all of the rewards. This gave us a little extra reward, so we got some extra high armor realization materials that JP did not get. So always welcome, and we're going to get some more here with this next event. So there were 3 fights, Galaxinium, Dawn, and Meridian. So different types of the morning, basically, if you're not familiar with those terms. And each one were bosses that we had in the past, but with different orbs. And synergy on this, again, was the 3 BT characters and Reno and Rosa, but you did not get to use synergy like in some Heretics where you can keep using synergy over and over again. No, they all got locked out. So the first one, the Galaxinium, was a shift type frame. That's that flying robot, and he summoned 2 death machines. The Lufania orb popped up on the death machines initially, and then I believe on the big boss at 79% of its health, and then at 49% of its health, and then at 29% of its health, and the orb was just to have 4 or more debuffs active. Now, this is only an issue because it cleansed its debuffs regularly unless they were gold framed. The other issue with this is it had a reactionary effect. I believe at 49%, it cleanses all of your party buffs and inflicts frame debuffs, including an HP poison, which can really hurt your HP total. So the first time I ran this, I did not make HP total because I didn't have any healing whatsoever or any cleansing. And so I beat it, but I didn't make the HP threshold. So yes, so you can see I used Sephiroth, Kadash, and Core because those gold frame debuffs were really nice. And I did get some. I had cleansing calls, so Mog and Pinello, and healing calls to get over that stuff. But it can be a little tricky, especially if you're not bringing the gold frames. You need to have constant debuffs. Of course, there are good characters like Sarah, like Shantoto, like Amitatillion, Gabranth, other options there that have several debuffs. Titus, I guess, at some point would have several debuffs as well if you wanted to use him here. So, well, I told you how I did it. Mino, how did you approach this fight with your challenge-mindedness?
Specifically mechanics. I'm trying to think. Oh, little tips here and there.
Yeah.
This fight had a lot of mechanics.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of little things where like so it's a set number of turns before it lifts off and lands. And that turn is, so when the ads come, it lands, the ads come. When you wipe out the ads, depending on the number of debuffs, if you have 4 debuffs on it, it'll take off even faster. So I know for challenge runs, what a lot of people did is they waited until the last possible second for the orb to tick down to apply their 4th ad to get more time on the ground. Because while it's on the ground, you can still delay it. And then when it lifts off, it usually cleanses. There is a lot of thresholds. I know Excalibur is here. Excalibur, you know what? I always said I don't have anyone to shout out, but Excalibur has been creating content recently by literally just documenting boss thresholds
Yeah.
and what they do, where they do. And for fights like these, like because they cleanse at different thresholds, because they lift off and land at different turn counts, and they do different things at orbs. God, that's so helpful. That is so helpful. So thank you, Excalibur, for contributing to the community like that. Other than that, rough fight. How did you end up dealing with the healing, Mark? I don't see any heals in your party.
Yeah, I don't know if I can see which. Yeah, I can't see which calls, but I had Mog call for cleanse and healing. I had Penelo call for cleanse and healing, and I don't remember what my third buff was, but it was enough just to cleanse basically, and then do that little bit of healing.
Right. I think I for like me personally, I did Sayador call at the end for the final threshold, just to cleanse and heal all the way back up before I finished.
Yeah,
So it was yeah.
yeah.
Oh, and
I don't have Theodore, although he would have been a good one.
right. Excalibur is specifying so it's 5 actions in the air to land. So if you take 5 actions while it's in the air, it'll land.
Yeah.
8 actions for it to lift off, and if it has 4 debuffs on any transition in mode, it will automatically cleanse. Okay, so
Yeah, and of course, as before we continue, just to remind you, you can always go to DissidiaFFOO. Macnell, our friend, runs that page. They did great work. I'm sure Scott Ong, who's on with us, did tons of runs. You can go to Scott Ong's YouTube on all of these different ideas. But tons of work to get these boss guides out for this GL exclusive content too. So thank you to them. If you want to break down even further than we are doing tonight, they really did a good job. So yeah, keep going, Mino. Anything else about the fight?
No, that's all the tips I have. I guess trivia is you can survive the orb. I don't know if you knew that, Mark, but
Oh, no.
the ad orbs. The ad orbs
Oh,
are
yes.
survivable.
Yes.
And we found that out on accident because I was running Kadaj with the attack down sphere. And so it had like a total of 60% because they try to cleanse before the orb goes off. You can survive it.
With the gold frames.
That's all I mean, looking at your team, I'm guessing you go all out when the ads are out, right?
Yeah.
That's the priority.
Yep.
And then in between that, you're just pumping out as much damage as you can. And you went 4 debuffs, so I do appreciate it. For the challenge, I did the same thing, except I had Sephiroth call instead of in the party.
Yeah, Sephiroth call. I think a fairly undervalued call. Maybe not. Maybe everybody's using it. But I've used Sephiroth call quite a few times. That gold frame, and what it's bringing there with the gold frame. Yeah, good call ability. And it goes on both of his calls, so I think you get it for 8 turns total. So that's very nice.
And people, I was watching streams and people talking in help. Sephiroth calls the only one that gold frames. People think Kadaj does. No, he does not. It's just Sephiroth.
No, because it's Kadaj's EX that grants the gold frame. Sephiroth, he gets, assuming your Sephiroth is fully built, the LD, I think, the gold frame comes in when he enters the game or when it's a new wave. And so you hit call 1, you get 4 turns of the gold frame. You do LD, you get 4 turns of the LD as well. So yeah. Arrow, anything about Galaxinium?
I used my only boosted character here on this stage. I did not do boosted teams at all on the other stages. I used Toto, Core, and Penelo here because I found the debuffing from them very annoying. I didn't really want to have to try to. I don't have a lot of. I have Sayador call, but I don't have Mog, and I just was like, I'm not in the mood to try to figure all this out. So I just went ahead and used Penelo just to cleanse and buff this team. Dude, I'm going to just say straight up, all of these fights had such tight turn counts. It was insane to me. And like, and I guess it's because Noctis and Terra don't take turns. Like, when they're using actions a lot, they get a lot of free turns and Noctis can give free turns. And it was just like, I guess that's what they were trying to sell. And then that just made it very hard, though, for me. I noticed that a lot of my DDs, my damage dealers, use turns. So that was the trickiest thing. So I had to figure out other ways to deal enough damage in the turn count to win. So I think that's the trickiest thing I had trouble with. And Galaxinium was, I'd say, the second hardest one out of the three for me, and I did this one first. So I tackled it using the team I did because, like, I'm serious. I was just spamming the whole time on the middle, and I thankfully had enough AoE to deal with everything, but I still found doing enough damage very tricky here. I made it right on turn count, so I think it was like, what, 70? Is it 60 turns? 70 turns. Okay, so I do 61 out of 70 turns, and I'm pretty sure I would not have won it if I didn't burst, because I had to use debuff calls to get around the whole thing with the 4 debuffs, and I didn't even notice that when I went in. Like, the boss itself would do that. So I thankfully my calls were all debuff ones when I went in, but yeah, I found this one hard, mainly because of the turn count more than anything else mechanically. Though I guess if you didn't have a cleanser, that would be pretty tough right now. And I don't think a cleanser's on any banners either. And I don't think they're coming either. So if you get struck with those debuffs, this can be a very hard one to deal with, because I think they can override any frame buffs too. Like, it dispels and adds the frames on, because I thought I could get around it with Penelo, but no. You're going to get hit with them. Even if you have I think I had like a full 6 frames on somebody, and I swear they still got overwritten. So I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that, guys, so don't quote me. But that's what it seemed like, that I had more frame buffs than I did generics, but I still got hit with the attack for 3 debuffs. So
yeah, at 50%, there's
okay, so I'm not crazy, and I found that very annoying. So I hated this fight mainly because it was annoying, but I didn't find it too troublesome. But it could be because I had Toto here, and I feel like if you're gonna use her on any of these stages, I felt like this was her spot, because the Ed Rage arrow is no joke. Like, it's a lot of attacks like going off. And you know, this is a single target heavy fight generally, with a little bit of AoE thrown in. I think that could be throwing people off too if they can't keep the ads taken care of. So I guess that's what throwing a lot of people off, because it is a lot of damage you got to do, and you only have 70 turns. So that's what I remember about this fight. I remember it being, like I said, the second hardest of the 3. But mainly because there's just a lot of little things that kind of can slow you down, and the tight turn count of 70. We went back to tight turn counts again. It was nice during Cloud of Darkness cycle to be at like 90, and then they went, no, never mind, we ain't doing that. And oh yeah, I had a Cloud of Darkness friend too, so that kind of was crazy helpful as well. So those are my thoughts. I don't really have anything else to add. Back to you guys.
Did you struggle with the turn counts? Did you bring Kurasame as one of your debuff calls?
Remember, I'm doing the no Kurasame saga, and no, I did not bring it. I brought Ignis though, so I am giving myself some damage up, but not a lot here. So just that's something else. Like, I haven't been using Kurasame call at all, guys. So that is making the turn counts possibly a little harder to beat, especially if you're not bringing BT. I've been bringing BT to get around it, but without BT, I will admit Kurasame call would probably be much better for no BT runs. But I swear it's very difficult otherwise.
Thank you. PoteauCedar's on with us. The TCC intern has been helping us with the stream layout. So thank you, Poto, for that. We're still playing around with that and trying to change up our visuals here and have some different stuff like the chat on screen. So that Blind Eye says Yuna dispels. So Yuna will hopefully be on a banner before this event ends. How many days we got? 7 days. So yeah, Yuna might be on
7.
Yeah,
7. Count on it then.
7 more days. Yeah, you might miss
Yuna.
Yeah, you might miss Yuna.
And also, as a tip, since people
she does Esna. So I mean, if you bring enough firepower and you don't have Penelo, Theodore, right? I mean, if you don't have Mog, Core, Theodore, Belthier, and you need a character with Esna, Yuna can help. Thank you, Shadowheart, for the gift sub. And King Koala, first time chatter. Thank you for joining us tonight. Lufania is too hard for me. Only beat one of them. No problem, King Koala. You can always join our Discord. We got plenty of people that will help you get you good and build up your team and your roster and your skills and help you beat those Lufanias. It shouldn't be a problem if you've been playing for a little bit. So just got to challenge yourself and do that. So.
For really quick,
please.
For everyone discussing it in chat, because everyone's talking about ranking the difficulty of the fights in TCC challenge mode. For how you guys want to do it and tips for people still struggling out there, this was in an informal poll considered the second hardest. There are a lot of mechanics, but if you have an instant turn character, this orb is nothing, right? Like once you throw on the 4 debuffs, you can spam instant turns. A lot of people tear it through this.
Yep.
If you're not doing the challenge, you can Tidus through this pretty fucking easy. Anyone with consecutive turns. Queen has soloed the orb, so 3 is considered a little harder. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But it's because you can really just push damage nonstop once you get your 4 debuffs on, especially if you're running like Kadaj and then you do a Sephiroth call. They'll never get rid of the debuffs.
And we'll probably talk a bit about more once we go through all 3 fights. We'll talk a little bit about our perspective on this, but just to make King Koala feel a little bit better. I mean, this is endgame content. This is geared to be for the veteran player, for the person who's got a decent roster, dealing with some interesting mechanics, because you might not have a debuff cleanser. You might not have some of the things that you might need just to, pull the 3 most recent characters. Because even Transcendence, again, you pull a few characters in the month, you can beat the current Transcendence, right? So this does seem to be, although fairly diverse roster, can cover these 3 we've already seen with some Crystal Chronicles challenges, but still, a big roster does help, that's for sure. Silo Cons, come on, get on the Discord.
Silo Cons not on the Discord? Okay, so I know Silo Cons, I know you were at the ranting hour, and I know you brought this up on the ranting hour. You said twice, like, whoever makes the TCC challenges, please get them out earlier. Macnell gets busy, and ultimately he creates the banners, but as I think we constantly say, just go in, no synergy. No core, no BT, no friend. There you go. Challenge yourself every event. There you go. You're most likely to qualify if you see that.
I mean, occasionally, if there's one character that really makes it easy, we'll ban them, and we might talk about that here in a second. But for the most part, no BT, no synergy, no GL firsts. And that's good. So let's move to Dawn, where we fight Flawless. This is a Bahamut type character that revives, that we fought before. This time with a what's the orb? The orb ticks up when they are unable to act. However, Flawless is immune to terror, sleep, confuse, and HP attack disable. So there needs to be some type of paralyze to disable the boss. But they do have to act, but just be able to do that. Once you kill it completely the first time, it does a Curaga, heals up 100%. Then once it gets down to 50% the second time, I think 50%, 59%, it then heals itself again. If it is paralyzed, while the second threshold is met, it will not cure itself. So that's fairly simple. If it's paralyzed when it hits those thresholds, it won't do its kind of counterattack. Other than, and that's it. This is probably the simplest of the fights. I don't know that there's any other big.
I agree. Agreed.
I don't think there's any other big mechanics besides the ones that I just mentioned. It is, I guess, a tight turn count for the number of health. The boss has a total of like 16 million. That might depend on the Curagas, but it is only one. It is only one boss, and so you need to bring some big fat damage, and you need to be able to disable it. Of course, Shantoro is synergy for this, and she's doing some big fat damage, and it's weak to dark damage. I think Arrow said, Shantoto's doing good on the third. I think Shantoto's like tailor-made for this. She's doing dark damage, she's doing big fat damage, and she's got a framed paralyze, on demand frame paralyze. That's plenty enough paralyzes. And you see, I think I brought Tifa and Queen just to beat the crap out of it as soon as possible. But a lot of other options if you wanted to take out this. Obviously, any of your paralyzed characters can deal with this fairly well. And then you just need some big fat damage to get that turn count. So, Mino, any thoughts on this fight, and how did you approach it?
First, let me agree with you that I feel like Terra was tailor-made for the first one because, again, instant turns is what is ticking that orb up, ultimately. And then Toto is this one because Toto's single target is king here, right? The Rage Arrow, Bio, the LD, the Paralyze ticks the orb. She solos this fight. Like you said, this is mechanically the simplest, and nobody struggled with this. Even if you weren't doing challenge runs, like Tifa will destroy this. I didn't even feel like. Did we make a TCC challenge for this? Oh, we did. But honestly, like Airlines did it.
Yeah.
Any big single. The problem is if it's a single target fight without big mechanics, and the only real quote unquote mechanic here was let it get a paralyzed turn when the orb is up.
We did ban Tifa. All the synergy for this one, well, I guess it's the same for all of them. So for the first two, right, we banned synergy for TCC challenge. We banned synergy, Tidus, Core, and Tifa. And for the third one, which again, as we were saying to Silocons, sometimes there are characters that really do just make the fight a lot easier. And so for the third one, one of those characters is Arciella. And so we did synergy, Tidus, Core, Tifa, and Arciella. So,
and so most people, if you're not doing the challenge, you could honestly race the orb. You can push it past the orb through pure damage, or even just flat out kill it. And if you're bringing a like you're just gonna no turn it, right? Like I this is a very, very simple fight.
Yep. Arrow, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one, I hate this 60 turn count on this so freaking much. I actually kept failing it with my team by like 1 or 2 turns every time, so I had to super tweak it. But my final team really was Bartz, Tidus, and Ash here. And I used every single one of those 60 turns here. And honestly, guys, it wouldn't have mattered if I had Kurasame here. I was hitting max damage like pretty much the whole fight, other than like maybe Ash was maybe not quite hitting the max, but she was coming close. So honestly, in HP, like if I had brought Kurasame for this, it wouldn't have mattered. It's just so much health, man. Like, and they want that. You got to bring somebody with 3 actions. I swear it felt that way. So, that was my team. I found this very easy once you got the pattern down about, let me make sure I keep the orb going. That's not too hard with Ash in the party. So that was not the problem. So it was more just hitting the turn count was the most annoying part here. Otherwise, mechanically, not too bad. Oh, I think there's one other thing. I think when it goes and does the Kiraga and it has the second form, I think at some point it wants to do the Holy Sword art attack or whatever. Just make sure if you don't have that thing paralyzed for the rest of the fight that you have some way to mitigate the damage from that. I think I wound up bringing like Warrior of Light Call or 9 or something to deal with that, because there's like one time I would keep messing it up. And this was just so I could have like, if I mess up, at least I can make sure I don't die to this attack. So, that I think that's everything with this. It's not a bad fight, but if you can't keep the paralyzed, and you need to make sure you can deal with the Holy Sword art attack that one time, because I think you really are only going to see it once with most teams otherwise. And if you have somebody with Last Stand, I think it targets the person with the highest HP. So that's the other thing too. That's pretty much it. I don't have much else to say on this one. Out of the 3, it probably is supposed to be the simplest, But I just, for some reason, that turn count, I was struggling for a little while. Like, it was annoying me to be at 61, 62. And then, like, finally getting it down to that 60. And I swear, man, I was almost out of skills on Titus, and like I used an AA to finish it just because I was out of quick hits. So I had some AAs, and I wound up using those to finish the fight. That was crazy. Those are my thoughts. I'm gonna go and send it back to you guys.
Pikachu says, I did Leo, Kais, and Cloud or Squex Airlines for the TCC Challenge. Good job. And good job, all of you. You can check out all that TCC Challenge and all the runs that people post online, and Pikachu and others on Dissidia Info on the Call to Arms. Well, that brings us to Meridian, and that is 2 Meredith Glorias. We've had them before. This time, however, their orb is a sap orb. I think in-game it says count target takes certain brave damage from effect, which is as Inkwelder said last night, really not an ideal way to specify what that means. And of the 3 orbs, obviously there were a lot of people I saw online confused about what ticks this orb up. So any character with a sap effect would tick this character up. That would include Kadaj, Shantoto has a sap effect. What I did was Sephiroth LD call, or Sephiroth call and LD call ability has a sap effect. Cypher has a sap effect. Scott, I thought traps did not work for this. I thought that's what we determined. You're saying traps do work for this? I thought we thought traps did not work to tick up the orb. Ferris, yes, thank you, Livestream Defo, Raw Life, as well. I thought traps did not work on this, but regardless, anything with a sap effect is very, very good for this. Unfortunately, that is not. Scott's clarifying that. No, traps do not work on this particular orb. They are strongly resistant to dark damage and immune to HP disable, which kind of sucks, but not too much. Oh, Lord. So the orb comes at 79% and stays for the rest of the game. They also do some other things. There's quite a few other things. They buff themselves with frame buffs in an action they call Heaven's Might. Gives them 6 frame buffs, and an HP regen is one of those, so you need to be able to dispel those or replace those ASAP. They will trigger Heaven's Might when they act first, and then they will both buff themselves at 69%, 49%, and 29% of their health. So, Terror works for the orb.
It does not work for the orb. If you're using Eldnarsh, it's the LD debuff.
Oh, yeah, his LD debuff has this. Is the sap effect. It's not Terror.
And to add on to what Mark said, not just saps, any poisons work.
Yeah, any poison and any, if you have the poison sphere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have that poison E-sphere, whose is that? Ferris's E-sphere is the poison one. Yeah, so that would also take it up. Do be realize that some characters that you may have bring actually have sap or poison effects, and it's those effects, not it's again, it's just not worded particularly well. But Thancred gets, yes, I'd love to see a Thancred run. I mean, I did get Vincent through this, so I'm pretty sure you could probably get Thancred through this.
Oh, I think they're saying Thancred Sphere, Mark.
Oh, Thancred Sphere. Oh, yeah. Thancred Sphere. Yes,
Sphere, not the character itself, because you only want it for his sphere. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, Thancred Sphere much better than Thancred's character right now. I have not looked at his LD that just came out, but they do buff themselves 4 times. So you need ideally some way to cleanse them or dispel them 4 times. Cloud has the Dispel. Ferris has the Dispel. Arciella, even without her HP disabled, with her Dispels is great. Belthier obviously has the Dispel and the Turn Steel, or the Buff Steel as well. They they do cleanse their own debuffs because they are able to put full debuffs on or full buffs on themselves. So if you do have the gold orbs or the gold debuffs, those are helpful to help prevent them. They also have the recast ability, which is really horrible. I think Warrior of Light can tank that, and Beatrix can shut that down. Beatrix is a good option here. You can actually get through quite a few cleansers. You really do want some dispel, and even the lesser dispellers. Like I saw somebody, maybe it was Type Zoe or some girl, maybe from our Discord, did a lion clear, and so with those. Even those dispellers that have been on the bench for a while, there's another EX only dispeller. Who am I thinking of? Oh, Vanille. So Vanille, there's some Vanille clears, there's some Lion clears. So you really do want a dispeller. But if you bring enough other firepower, you can use a pretty lame dispeller and still be okay. You can terror lock them, as one of our listeners was mentioning with Eldnarsh, and so that's a good way to kind of beat through the entire fight. Oh, is there anything else? Yeah, they get. We talked about the brave or the healing. They have big brave gains, or anything else that I'm missing here.
You're good.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shit that's not important.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this fight. Some of it matters more. The big things are, you need to have some dispel, some mitigation, perhaps for the constant attacks, and something to deal with the orb. I brought Vincent, Paladin Cecil, and Arciela. I don't even know why. But I'm gonna guess that Vincent was helping with some of the damage mitigation with his attack down. And Paladin Cecil was there, I guess, for moral support, and Arciela was dispelling. So yeah. She dispelled real good. And that's why we banned her in the TCC challenge, because she is King Dispeller. Good for her. Ferris is fine, too, I guess. I don't know. I don't have her, so I can't tell you. Vincent's attack down is no joke. Final character 7. Unlike Vincent, he is kind of a joke. But, yeah. Yeah, Beatrix. A lot of people brought Beatrix to this. So, Mino. Yeah, this is definitely the hardest of the 3 fights. But there are some interesting options. So, Mino, how did you approach this? Any other things from the fight you want to talk about?
Yeah, let's qualify it. So, if you have a stacked roster, I think this was objectively the hardest fight. This is the tightest turn count because you have to pace yourself. Unlike the other fights, you can't bulldoze your way through because they have those hard thresholds where they cleanse, buff themselves, and you have to strip that off and then reapply your stuff. You're only going to get 20 to 30% damage off before you have to pump the brakes, wait for them to buff themselves, dispel it all, reapply your buffs, and then go again. So it really was a tempo thing. And here's the thing. The first fight is easier with instant turn characters. The third fight is easier with dispellers. The problem is it's much easier to get instant turn characters, and a lot of people probably have instant turn characters. Not a lot of people have dispellers. We saw a lot of people. I shouldn't say a lot. But we saw people go back and pull Arciela because her banner was up. Yep. To do this fight. That's why she was banned, because we wanted to show that you could do it without forcing you to pull on a current banner. Yep. And Arciela, as Mark said, Arciela is the strongest dispeller right now, bar none. And just like Dark DPS, I was saying earlier, I feel like there's never a lot of strong dispelling options at the same time.
Although I will say, just as a caveat to how strong she is, I completely forgot that she has an LD. Normally when I use LD characters, I put the LD on the first page, and because I never used Arciela, I just picked her LD up on a free pull, so I had never even used her before this fight. With her LD, I literally did not use the LD until like the last few turns of the fight because I forgot that it existed. It has a nice effect though, so you should definitely use it if you bring her.
Yeah, it's because her auras are so stupid, broken. Remember, 120% attack, 90% Brave. Not supposed to be that, but it is. So, so yeah, no, she's doing great. But But yeah, the turn count, you really feel the turn count on this one because you really have to play around it. And as I said, not everyone has a up-to-date Dispeller up. Again, the latest one was fucking Arciella. When did her LD come out? Like 6 months ago
Yeah.
or something? and
well, Ferris is more recent, but her damage is garbage.
yeah, it's complete fucking garbage. Did Raw says he ran Ferris.
Yeah.
Did you get it through the challenge, Raw? Do we have any Ferrises in the challenge? I could believe we did, but I know it's tough because I know when people tried, they said, "Holy shit, this damage is awful." But yeah, no, the turn count is strict here. So challenge-wise, this was probably the hardest one. There are no meta dispellers. People don't automatically pull them. Everyone has a Tidus or a Core or a Terra in their pocket, so the first one's probably nowhere near as bad as this.
There are not a lot of, as you can imagine, there are not a lot of TCC Challenge completes. I have a Beatrix. Yeah, there is a Ferris. So nice. Did
who
Porum no NO4CE. So I don't know if that's supposed to be no ace or noise or whatever. Porum Sabin Ferris. That's a good team. Cloud of Darkness, Fred. That's a good run. Yeah, Porum, Sabin. So Beatrix, Porum, X-Death, Multiracial Lion, Sabin, Beatrix, Kurasame, Blart, Strago, Beatrix, Galoff, Cross 13, Strago, Beatrix, Queen, Valor. Defo Valor was there. So thank you, Illuminasa, for the subscription. Those are regular. The Extreme CSDX did Kadaj, Celeste, Galoff. Really?
Wait, really?
I'm not sure. That's okay.
Oh no, because there's calls and summons, and I want to answer final ASIMs once you read it off. I'm just waiting for you to read my name because clearly Macnell must have fucking put my name on there, right? Like he was there when I did it.
He did not put your name up. Yeah, final character 7, Edward, Trey, Beatrix, Somage, Eldnarsh, Beatrix, Queen, Destroth, Ferris, Lael, Porum. There's another Ferris run. And Goose is with us, Lael, Warrior of Light, Beatrix. So, Kadaj, I'm going to watch CSDX, this Kadaj Celeste Caliph run. That's crazy.
I think I talked to him, and I think we talked about options for doing it without a Dispeller in your party. Final ASIM, you're asking. I don't remember exactly what he did. I do remember
Diablos.
Yeah,
Diablos.
Yeah, I remember Diablos.
Diablos dispels. Yeah.
Diablos is a big one. We also talked about if you don't have a Dispeller, Cloud could work.
Yeah.
And I think somebody also did a Kadaj Sephiroth run so that their worst buffs didn't stick.
Right.
So there are options out there for you people who don't have Dispellers, but I know this fight has been a hard wall for a lot of people because once again, nobody pulls a Dispeller, right?
Yep. Yeah. Well, and yeah. So, yeah. Anything else? Kadaj just dispels. Yeah.
Anything else? Luminasa, thank you for the sub.
Yes. Arrow. Thoughts on Meridian?
Yeah, this one's easily the hardest. Okay, so by the time I got here, and I did go in order of these stages, I found I did not have a lot of great choices left. It felt like that would meet the turn count. Again, this is the trickiest thing here. And I sat there for a while trying different stuff that I felt could help me reach this turn count. So I finally settled on Sephiroth, Warrior of Light, and Balthier just to get through this freaking fight because I was done. I kept going over turn count like constantly. Then or screwing it up with timing Beatrix right and getting the what is it called, the Paladin's Protection, right? But she's great on the stage, you know. And of course, we have actually technically had this fight before. You remember the I think it was Balthier's Abyss, in fact, where we had it was Vincent. I'm sorry, it was Vincent, I believe, because they changed the orb there to sap, and I remember giving Reno Ferris Sphere to deal with that. And not have to bring a different sapper there. So, yeah, this fight sucks. But, like, it's just because we've dealt with this fight. And sure, the orbs changed. But like it's kind of like worse on one hand because now you have to give these guys turns. So you can't like just prevent them from ever acting. You're gonna have to let them act. You're not getting through. You're not gonna be able to force this orb, and that's probably what's tripping a lot of people up because they're gonna have to deal with all those buffs. And if you do not remove the HP buff, that HP regen I think is like 5%. It's a ridiculous number. So you have to get rid of it somehow. And if you can't, God help you, because you're going to run out of turns. And in fact, on my runs, I kept having bad luck, at least on one of them, where I could not get the HP regen off. So there was a little bit of RNG involved having Balthier here, and I understood that. But I tried RCella, and I just could not get a team together that was helping me reach the turn count. So yeah, I found this fight kind of tricky, but it's not just the buffing thing. For me, it was, again, the turn count. These are just so crazy tight. These bosses have HP regen. Oh my God, if you can't get rid of that freaking buff. And that just hurts. So there's just a lot going on here, guys. And this is easily the worst of the battles because of the whole thing. I gotta tell you though, Sephiroth, man, he pulled him through with that gold frame because he alone could take care of the orb the whole fight. You never had to worry about not having sap because that dude with his gold frame buff is like, cool, I got it. I got you covered, fam. And I was like, yeah, thanks, dude. Because Sephiroth been pulling through for me on some random fights lately. Silicon's asked if I were using budget teams of 2 out of 3 acts. No, I don't do anything like that. I ain't crazy like that. All my characters are maxed. But yeah, Balthier, it was fun bringing Balthier, busting him out again. No, out of nowhere, honestly, because I did not see this event coming. None of us did. This was brand new content. So, yeah, so shout out to Balthier because you came back, bro, right out of nowhere again. And that's just kind of how Dispellers can be, guys. I think our last Dispel fight was with Kadaj. So, you know, and we know every time they come out with these fights where you kind of you may want Dispel. People all the time don't have somebody on the roster. I would highly recommend to anyone who is missing a pocket Dispeller, make sure you get one. Just for your own sanity, even if you have to carry that character, you may have to carry that character, but they will help you so much when these fights, they come up randomly. I don't know if there's any more in the future, but considering they're giving us this brand new content, who's to say they won't do this, you know, once we hit, I don't know, Lufenia Plus. We easily could see this stuff happen again. So just something to think about. I would highly recommend considering a Dispeller in your future. I think Balthier's coming back in a couple more months. So
Lion LD next month.
So there you go. And Lion's coming back next month with LD.
You could use her on this with the X only.
Yeah, and then I think XDeath is on an XDeath BT banner, so some of you may have already gotten his LD. Hey, consider Lion. She should be pretty strong with her LD. And she'll give you that pocket Dispel you might need. So that would be my recommendation. If you're lacking the Dispeller and you can't finish this fight, don't feel too bad. This is really just not a cool fight, and it really did come out of nowhere. So if you can't afford to pull for Arciella because you need that pocket Dispeller, I understand that too. So, but now you know these kind of events will tell you sometimes that you're missing something in your roster. Fix it whenever you can. So even if you can't do it right now, put it up there in your head and remember it for the next time somebody with the role that you're missing pops up. That would be the character you may want to save for. All right, those are my thoughts. I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but I felt we pretty much covered most of everything else, so I wanted to just address that. I'm going to send it back your way, guys.
So overall impressions of this event, this is a GL exclusive event, the Japanese version of the game. Ho, ho, ho! Xroth 7th. Why does my frame rate drop whenever I played a co-op with Rosa, and it's worse if there are 2 of them?
Wasn't this a thing? Holy shit! Fuck, man, I don't remember. BC, I know you're still here. Help me out here. There was a bug on Rosa on JP launch that was crashing games and co-ops.
Oh, that's right. I
had something to do with her buff.
Yeah.
I don't know if a version of that is getting through to at least slow your frame rate, but if that's a real thing, that's something we should.
So the fix for that is really easy. You got to get her costume. No issues once you get her costume. I've not had any issues. So if you want to use Rosa in co-op, pay up. That's all I got to say about that. I don't send a ticket to Joshua. I have not noticed that, and I did use Rosa. But get that costume. Just don't. My advice: don't use Rosa, because she is a trash panda of a character. Just terrible.
I agree.
She's
Terrible
so
character.
bad.
So bad.
Yeah. Is Amos here? I'm sure he has something to fucking
so fucking terrible. She is the worst character. I love Rosa. She's a favorite. I have her, and she's not great. So, but I did get her costume as well. So.
I don't like that costume. I know you and BC and a couple others say you guys really like it. I don't see it. I don't see it. The original seems more ornate, more detailed, and like the costume, it seems.
I hate the red eyes. They creep me out. In all
No,
seriousness.
right.
Like, what is she wearing? Like a little mermaid fucking seashell bra on top of a leotard? Like, what is that, man?
It's just closer to the original Sprite, right? So I don't know.
The hair drives me nuts.
The cape. I never liked the cape. That just kind of is static. There, yeah. I'm still getting over from the ranting hour last night that Vincent and Tara have the same animation. The same fireball. I'd never noticed that before.
It's really not, because Ink brought that up like a year ago, guys, and I can't believe, like, when BC was surprised, I'm just sitting there like, really? You have fucking goldfish memory?
Yeah, I
but
don't
Mark is here too. Yeah, like.
Well, I know now that you say it. Like, oh yeah, of course it's the same, but it's not something I think about. Oh yeah, Cloud of Darkness has a great costume. I'm always any costume that covers your feet, I think, is a good costume, worth the price of admission. So as we talk about our overall impressions with this event, the Equinox Aurora, Inkwelder asks us.
Oh, do you want to jump into that? I don't know how we want to do this.
Let's do this. I thought we. Oh no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, because like people are asking for our overall thoughts. Ink is asking for a specific best pick. Do we do our best picks first and then go deeper in, or
I thought Inkwelder's question would be a nice launching point for some conversation. So Inkwelder of the Tonberry Troupe, TonberryTroupe.com, pick one aspect of the new Aurora event that you believe is the most important contributor towards its success and explain why. Well, I think I think that it called for some unique mechanics was a really good thing, because that does favor the long-term veteran players with who have pulled and have a vast roster, and so needing cleansers, debuffers, sap, those are not things that pull videos often talk about. Those are not things that, like, oh yeah, you got to, meta dispeller, meta cleansers, meta sap units. These are roles that are important to the game, but that you could have, if you were just following kind of the hype train, you could have easily passed on. And the fact that you really didn't even have the option to get all these on the banner that came out with this event. Perhaps over the course of the event, but as we were saying, even dispellers, you might have to really dig deep to get out a dispeller. RCL was still available, thankfully, but or cleanser, So I like that idea that, okay, let's not just make an abyss where you have to pull on whatever character is synergy, but let's make a event that requires you to use several characters. So 9 characters, I think that's just about perfect. 9 different characters that are all kind of Lufania viable, or this era of Lufania viable. 9 different characters, can't use the same characters all 3 events. I like that. And then needing to have some lesser used roster abilities or utility, I think is really cool. So that's my favorite part of it. Overall, I mean, I really like the event. I'd like to see more things like this. I think it kind of hit all the things we liked about the early Abyss, plus some new things. And so yeah, I'm good. I'm good with this kind of event ongoing, and if we get more events like this and more things that are a little bit new or exclusive to us, I would be more than happy. So, Mino, what was your thing about this event?
Uh, shit. I liked so much about this event, but let's narrow it down. That's the true challenge here. If I had to pick the one thing, it is finally some challenging end game, and I say that with the stipulation that like compared to a lot of events we've had, right? Like a lot of Lufanias we've had that we have time to prepare for, it's much stronger, right? Because of the lockout. Specifically because of the lockout. This is I don't know how many people are going to agree with this, but I know at least among the like TCC nerds, the really hardcore who like to do all the challenge runs and stuff, they want more restrictions on the fight. Hell, that's something Josepher said, right? We covered that last week.
Yep.
People want more restrictions so they can't just breeze through content with their meta characters. You can't just Titus core COD everything. And so this was a perfect solution. More lockouts, stricter lockouts, and like no fear of having harder difficulty that not everyone is going to beat.
And it wasn't lockouts based on boss like locking out elements, locking. I mean, it wasn't that kind of lockout, which is nice too.
Great point. No. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for reminding me. What I wanted to say is why this is better than Abyss is because a lot of people hated Abyss's bullshit lockouts. Like, okay, Dualahan again? Sure, but you need a black crystal and a spear. And people are kind of like, okay, so basically a dead character and then two of whoever I have that get through. And so those kinds aren't fun. But so if you restrict by codes, and I really wonder if Abyss is a success because we don't see too many of them, right? Like we've
Right.
had a handful and they've been trying to change the rules every time. So there's no consistent format that they've really hit the sweet spot in. They haven't found anything they really like. If this replaces Abyss or is the future, this is much better because I think this is what the more hardcore players have been asking for, not bullshit restrictions like weapon type and crystal color, but restrictions based off of mechanics and orbs. And BC stole this opinion from me yesterday, but basically this is a showcase of why Lufania orbs can be good for, again, the more hardcore players. I know there's a state of fucking Lufania thread every month where people say Lufania orbs are killing the game. I know Dreamy messaged me and said, hey, the game went to shit when Lufania orbs were a thing. Now I can't get Kate Sith through all my fights. But like the flexibility of taking one fight and just changing the orb and then all of a sudden you need to really change up your team and your approach. That shows the strength of Lufania orbs. You can just mix and match fights and orbs and get completely different experiences. Once again, force diversity for the people who aren't doing like TCC extremes. Like that's what people like Joe want, right? Like forced diversity. So please, Square Enix, more lockouts, more events like these, especially moving forward. Like people keep complaining that current JP is just dead garbage time because people are soloing. Someone soloed the last Lufania Plus with Lightning, and she got her BT Plus like a few months ago. Uh, like like people are soloing and doing fights. They're doing fights with no BTs at all, just LD only characters. They're doing fights with level 80 teams. Like if GL hits that, please keep mixing this
Yeah.
shit in
Yeah.
to keep it more challenging. Please, and Raw Life and other nerds that don't touch grass are saying like, please, yes, give us more lockouts, more restrictions, more excuses to use a higher percentage of our roster to make veterans feel rewarded for building their roster and to just have challenging content. There is a good portion of the player base out there that do want to be pushed, and I feel like you lose nothing if this is extra content. Like, yeah, make a lot of easy stuff, but it doesn't hurt to throw in extra content that's harder than normal. Like, right? Like, imagine playing an MMO without any raids, right? You would lose a lot of your hardcore player base, and those are the people that are subbed like every fucking month giving you money. These are the people who will probably pull to beat the content, right? So keep mixing this shit in. If I had to pick the one thing, it's the lockouts and restrictions. Good job.
Arrow, what are your thoughts?
I always like roster diversity, and this is definitely a fight that favored roster diversity. But I'm gonna go with one different thing. We actually had to see boss turns again. Holy crap! It felt so weird having to see boss turns like throughout a whole fight in Meridian. That was like, holy crap. And then it was like, holy crap, I haven't dealt with this in some time, where like I actually had to engage the boss, and it was nice. So more of that, please. Like, and that's why I liked boss rush this time around too, by the way. But we'll get to that. Even though I know I was making some funny commentary about that yesterday, but we're gonna get there. So I like it when I see the boss interact with me. And I saw plenty of that even when I wasn't giving the boss necessarily lots and lots of turns, because I still had to engage with debuffing or buffing from the enemies at the very least. Or like even, the Kiraga action, and then that whole thing with that brave attack right afterwards from the flawless. Those are good things. We need boss interaction. I hate just looking at a new fight and going, there's this new HP sponge. He just changed model this week. Yay, like, no, I'm not into that. So this was great. So I'm going to go with, I got to see bosses take turns, and I had to interact with what they were doing. It was good to get a reminder of what that felt like, because I hadn't felt it so strongly in some time. Thank you for doing this. I would like more events like this that encourage interaction between us and the boss. There you go. Back to you guys.
Yeah, and I certainly don't. I've liked all the permanent abyss, although depending on how many trash nodes you have to do and how many times you have to fight the same boss over and over again, that's not ideal, I don't think. But yeah, I think this hit on all cylinders, and yeah, I'd certainly like to see
They added more
of
mechanics there too.
Yeah,
for sure. The Ultimecia robot didn't do these cleanses and
correct.
Spells and stuff, like just little touches. Yeah, throw shit out there. Make it hard. What did FF14? They came out with ultimate raids because people were always asking for more content, and they said they designed raids so that a certain percentage of people should be able to clear them. And then when the hardcore players kept begging for them for a harder challenge, they invented ultimate raids, where Yoshi P says, "Okay, for our fight designer, we're not going to tell him to hold anything back now. We're going to let him make whatever the fuck he wants, and if you guys can do it, great. Like we're not going to test this too hard." And they did it, and people love it. Like, don't underestimate your player base. There's gonna be people that rise up to the highest skill level.
Always.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments. What do you think of this event? I enjoyed it. I understand this might be a little challenging depending on your roster and depending on how new you are, but I think the overall feeling was this was good, Squeck, so more like it, especially for those of us who have been playing for 3.5 years. We like more of this kind of content. But a lot of fun. Yeah, hey, more Coil of Bahamut. We did that a couple weeks ago. Let's talk about Boss Rush. Oh, I'm just looking at the notes that Mino put in here. The Forbidden Mesa. And Mino has the Forbidden Mesa Jar Jar Binks. So thank you for that wonderful joke. I'm sure Pikachu approves of the pun.
First one? Yeah. Challenge campaign? Okay, because you didn't compliment that one. So
I didn't read it.
Making sure you saw it.
I didn't see it. Equinox Aurora Borealis. Yes, that's very good. A little less subtle than my stream title. So however you want your dumb puns tonight, people, you got him. Pikachu, you got one for us. There's we don't want to bring that kind of evil into this. Pikachu approves. Don't want to bring that kind of evil into the stream tonight. So Boss Rush 5 launched a couple days ago, and in it, as always, this idea of the turn count drops. You can bring up to 3 teams to get all of the things in the final Lufania challenge. You can bring up to 5 teams, but to get all the rewards, only 3 teams. 4 waves, 3 Lufania orbs, some crazy tigers, and so a lot of furries in this one. A little disturbing, but Always fun. Love Boss Rush. It's great content. We did get a banner, and the banner had Jack, who didn't get anything. But if you did miss Jack's LD and you would really like it for a call ability, it's in there, and you might even use him in your party occasionally, but probably not much. But you might use his call all the time, like I do, and I love it. So if you want to pull for that, great. Get his call ability. But we got a new LD, not a new character, but a new LD, Leon, from Final Fantasy II, The Dark Knight, the frenemy, the very handsome in his infographic. Go to Tonberry Troupe. His primary role is brave damage mitigation. You can see the arrow is longer, and the secondary role, which is a little shorter arrow on the infographic, is healer. So that's how you read infographics. I learned that last night too. So thank you, Inkwelder, for teaching us how to read pictures, because I didn't ever know how to do that. So yeah, so Leon doesn't get a rework. Leon doesn't get really anything new. We'll talk about his LD, what he does get new, but Leon's base gimmick has not changed. And his base gimmick, if you're not familiar with the character, is he enchants the enemy with dark damage. So all of the enemy's non-elemental attacks become dark damage, and then he allows the party to absorb that dark damage. So he's doing damage mitigation via enchant and absorb. Very unique. He is the only character that does that ever. Often it's unable to be used because bosses have elemental attacks, but when he can use it, real good if you aren't concerned about turn count, which we'll talk about in a second. His LD is a big AoE HP attack, does some healing, gives him a new self buff that actually does give him some more party support. So he's doing some HP damage up, or HP damage resist now, and a little bit more damage to him, or for himself. He does a little bit more damage as a character with his LD buff, and he does HP resistance to the entire party, which is nice, not just based on the absorb, but so he can do some other attacks as well. And it applies a debuff to the boss, which is a trap debuff. And so the actual debuff is brave damage up, and then after the enemy acts, it triggers Dark Drain, which is a brave gain followed by an HP attack, followed by some brave hits, followed by another HP attack with splash damage, and it heals the party. So cute little trap thing that he gets. Again, it doesn't really change his kit, but gives him a little damage boost and allows him to have that trap mechanic, which, again, he's a character that the boss needs to take turns. That's how he works as a character. So working with, turn skip, instant turn characters, not as ideal. That being said, his base skills don't get reworks. His potencies are not super great, and so his damage is... Let me just put it this way. I don't have him. I spent 400 tickets. I did not get him. My interpretation of what I've seen from Leon, watching some videos, is he's below average or average in a lot of his areas. So when it comes to party healing, probably below average. Damage output, below average. Support, definitely below average. Damage mitigation, when his gimmick works, he's the best at it. Definitively, he is the best character that can enchant the enemy and absorb that damage that he enchants. He is the best character at that. Everything else he does, he's probably average or below average, and so that does really hurt him. Well, if he did a little bit more damage, you could probably bring him to a lot more content. The issue I foresee being with him is, unless you're pairing him with the newest BT, the newest damage dealer, Core. It probably works fine with Core and some other kind of big damage or support. You're going to have tough turn counts, especially in some upcoming fights. So that's my take. Sorry, Leon. I'm sure if you love Leon, and I know Arrow does, and she'll share more thoughts on that. But I'm sure if you love him, you'll get him through stuff. Mino, what are your thoughts on Leon?
Uh, let's see. I went through a good amount of this on the stream, so let me try to recall the most important parts.
Yeah.
I feel like. Wait, did you watch that VOD, Mark?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, you watch all my shit. Okay. Well, ooh, I mean, Mark says he's the best at what he does, but I think he's also the worst at what he does because he's the only person in that category.
It's the
So he
only
doesn't have,
person in the
yeah, he doesn't
category.
have any competition. Of course, he is the best at enchanting the enemy and then absorbing that element, right?
So good
Like
at
I
He's so
like
good.
zero competition, literally. He has no competition, literally. Um, ooh, man. Leon is like if Rosa's re-raised buff was a person, was a character that took up a slot on your three-man team. What I mean to say about that is he's so hyper defensive. He's so stop, Mark, you're
Ray
me.
Reyes is a person.
Stop. You're fucking me up. Okay. Look. Okay. He's so hyper defensive that if you're playing around this level of defense, it's very unnecessary. Like as we talked about last week, it's like bringing the raise skill in League of Legends, right? Like you're planning on taking a beating, giving the enemy a ton of turns, and taking a lot of damage that he can heal up. Um, he's so specialized. And I think on stream I was really bitching about Celeste versus Galuf, and I said Celeste versus Galuf. I never pulled them in any other era, so I wanted both of them in the LD era. I regret Celeste. I'm sure people have made her work, but there was never a time I felt like she stood out, and there was never a time I wanted to bring her over like Galuf because while Celeste was still very specialized, Galuf now counters everything, right? They're like, fuck just physical. Yeah, like we'll let you do physical even better, but you can counter everything, you can tank everything now. Everything. And so with these extremely niche characters, I feel like when all these people are asking for should you pull videos and recommendations, they're always asking for characters who can do a lot, right? Versatile characters that can go with lots of teams, lots of partners, and go into lots of fights no problem. Leon is the hard opposite of that. It works or it doesn't, right? A one trick My Little Pony that it's do or die, succeed or fail. That's all it is. That being said, I can say some good things on him. One is that with our research throughout the next month up till BT plus, there's probably like one fight that does the elemental attacks and it's not pure elemental attacks, which means he should be able to absorb and work in all the fights in the coming month. That guarantees you a lot of safety if you really want it, but then of course you have to overcompensate on your damage if you bring him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if you have like Kurosame call for the HP damage up, you could do it. But other than that, I don't know. It might be a struggle. So his damage is really high. Did you look at his high armor? It's a personal. It's very weird for a more supportish character. It's very personal damage limits up. And so what it is he can't really hit his own stuff, but like an empty cup, at least if you stack him with like Queen and like Arciela for some reason, throw an Iroha on there, he can hit decent damage. His LD and his traps do good damage. It's just it takes so much work to get there. People are saying he can hit trap orbs. I admittedly have not done the research on how many trap orbs are coming up and what other, but for the next month, he is a solid pick as long as you have some meta DPS alongside with him. There is a big fall off when BT Plus comes. Not only is it introduced with Pandy, who's all elemental attacks, there are a good number of fights afterwards, 50-60% of them, that have a lot of elemental attacks. And not only that, but you see a huge spike in tankiness and turn count because they want
low turn count.
Yeah, because they want you to pull BT pluses, right? They want you to jump to the next tier. And Leon's damage is already behind for this era. After that, it's rough. Like me and BC said, like Sine Wave, we have faith in you to carry on the Blue Leon saga. Like if you can do it, if anyone can do it, it's got to be you. You've got to be the hero. But I don't. This character is so specialized. Fuck. But I guess he can be a clutch. I want to be wrong. Like Macno said, I want to be wrong. Like I was wrong about shit. Who was I super wrong about? Kadaj was who I was super wrong about. Where when these characters work, they work. Kadaj was someone I was not very happy about, but I ended up using him a lot because there are a lot of cleanse heavy fights that needed that ignored HP mitigation. Any fight that ignored HP mitigation, I brought Kadaj with the framed attack down, 60% attack down. I could survive all of that shit. So I want to be wrong, and I want to say he's a clutch pig, but also it just feels like he's one of the most unnecessary characters out there. Mark, back to you.
Arrow, are you gonna share some of the good things about Leon?
I mean, I have good things, but then there's somebody else here who might have some different opinions. But I'm gonna go with mine first before I go any further into that. So I got pulled. I was planning to pull on stream, guys. Like I had full intention to pull on stream, but then before bed I pull. Okay, so I did not pull. I used my daily pull, and I got Leon on a blue orb. I was shocked. I was like, okay, that's the real payment from jury duty this week, everybody. I've already made this joke like a zillion times, but it's true because I swear it's my karma payment for it. So I blued Leon's armor because whatever, FF2, and I went with it. So even with synergy, though, it is so tricky to get that trap damage to do anything. I didn't really see an issue with the skill damage so much. It's definitely not what it used to be. It used to be pretty decent, guys. I want to stress this. Like in Chaos era, like it was poopy because he didn't have EX plus, but when he got EX plus, it was okay. But here's Leon's problem. They always like releasing this character right before another power creep jump. So we got Leon the first time with the EX. And I think this was right near the end of was it Cosmos? Yes, Cosmos era. And it was tail end Cosmos era, guys. So immediately it got trickier to use Leon's gimmick right in early Chaos, where he should have been strong enough, it felt like, to kind of help your team without needing to EX plus something. Charlotta did. And he was pretty much like the month. He was the lost chapter before Charlotta. So there you go. I want to stress this. Then he was one of the absolute last to get EX plus because they didn't want us using his gimmick in Chaos era. They wanted us to have to go for that, work for it, and that's stupid. I don't get this. So we got that, and then he worked okay for a little bit in early Lufenia and all that, because the orbs weren't too crazy or anything. And then they come and do this. They bring Leon in an era. This is what really burns my bottom, by the way. They put this character out in an era where we're not giving enemies very many turns. The thing that makes him shine best. And at least with Galif, even if you're not bringing him, he has good auras. So he can sit there. He doesn't have to necessarily take lots of turns. And if you happen to give the enemy turns, here's a little, here's my double counter thing. Cool. All right, nice. And he has last stand and all that, blah, 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 blah. So he's bringing all that. Leon does have auras, but they're not great anymore, like for the role he's playing. So it's kind of confusing what they were doing bringing this character out in this environment. And then Lufenia Plus, again, just right around the corner. And we know this from JP Foresight. So it's just baffling. I'm like, where's the design and decision for this every time? It's kind of cruel and it feels wrong. And I'm really hoping for once, maybe they just let Leon have his gimmick in an era and it can matter. That's been the biggest problem. You're always carrying this guy for his gimmick. And I love his gimmick. I love what he brings to the table. but like they have constantly made it a struggle for the Leon fans. Like, and this is the original Dark Nut. You know what I mean? Like, this is the guy they sold us on, why people wanted to like Dark Knights. Okay, back in, not all of us played Final Fantasy 2, but I'm saying like this was the guy. And we didn't know that for a long time. We thought Cecil was. But, if you're old like me. But like this is the whole aspect of what a Dark Knight concept kind of started here. And like they made him really, his gimmick's cool, everything. I love it. But I'm struggling to understand why bring him out in this environment. No other character is going to have this problem that he does in this current environment, and it just pisses me off they keep doing this to him. It's like, holy crap, why are they doing it? I'm trying to understand the design choice here, and I can see why they gave him in Boss Rush, because he has the capability to be very useful in a Boss Rush scenario. But then like we're talking beyond his synergy here, and I'm just baffled. Like, why didn't you bring him out in an earlier Boss Rush so we could have used him in more Boss Rushes? At the very least, like how some people, that's all they would buzz Gladio out for was Boss Rush, or Furion. Furion had that, but at least but Furion came out much earlier in the era, and his damage is almost equal to Furion's. That was crazy to me when I was using him yesterday, and they boosted party. I was like, holy crap, if these two are boosted together, Furion kind of can do more damage, purely because he has the BT. Oh my god, I'm just so mad. Okay, I'm sorry guys. I gotta lay off of this. So I'm gonna talk about characters that are good with Leon, so that we know how to fill the empty cup, as you guys called it. So Queen's up there, but I want to mention one other that I learned about yesterday that's actually quite good with Leon. Kryl. Now, I learned something with Kryl and the Entrap characters. Hey, if you got her EX up and she's battering your party a ton every turn, and that's every enemy turn too, hey, that's increased damage for you and your party members that are doing those traps, right? So she's also boosting weakness damage. And I mean, at least Leon can cover his own element, so you're not going to struggle there. I mean, yeah, you're not going to get anything out of that Thunder enchant, but at least everything else that Kryl almost brings to the table, battery-wise and everything, is super useful for Leon, honestly. So you can kind of build around that if you want to. There's Sap, so he has his own Sap debuff. It's a generic, but it's there. So he can help you cover Sap orbs. That's nice. And at least he'll counter up on his attack. So that's cool, I guess. He's always had the Sap thing pretty much since the beginning. So that's always been a thing. And Kryl, I think, is one of the more interesting choices for Leon in a party. But she is a little aged at this point. And that's where I'm getting at. Like, the characters that are going to be really good for Leon aren't necessarily the newest characters. And then it's like, okay, well, now I can stack it with Core. So thank God for Core. Holy crap, thank God for Core, because he's going to be helping Leon out a lot. You can target Leon and boost Leon further with that buff. I can't remember the name of, but the one from his skills. And there you go. You got something going on here. And then, Core can take all his hits. All right. So those are the main things I want to address. Now, some people are asking, where's that Metalay chick? And honestly, I don't know why you guys like her, but, I can like let her come take over the airwaves here, and I'll let her give her opinion. So, you guys are weirdos. So, let's talk about emoji knee pads. Who likes emoji knee pads? Why would you wear them? They're unoriginal. They are like what 15-year-olds wear, thinking they're cool. So, what else is there to say, my friends, about Leon? He's boosted for Boss Rush. You want to know how you win in any event? You get good and stay meta. Is Leon meta? No, not one little bit. But if you want to win Boss Rush, another way to win is always to use synergy, guys. That's part of getting good. So, if you want to win Boss Rush, and you do want to win Boss Rush, I know, it's a tricky Boss Rush, then you, my friends, will want to pull for Leon, and Jack is the most meta of meta calls. Why would you not want that for yourselves? Put all 75,000 gems, not only for Leon to help you with synergy, but for that Jack call in synergy too. That's what makes the banner the real winner today. So, What else is there to say about Leon? Damage is terrible. But there's supposed to be a point here, but I can't find it. Back to you, Mr. Mark.
Thank you. Met ALI, appreciate you, sub to their channel. Looking at the podcast polls, thank you to Quazamo for MateriaBot from the, what now?
Sorry. Before we move on, really quick, addressing chat.
Do we have
Infamous
to
Element. Oh, no. Infamous Element and Silo were talking about it. They've been running Leon through the thing. I did accidentally pull Leon after my stream. So I tried a bit too, but basically Infamous Element is saying Leon actually did see a good amount of use in TCC challenges and Chaos, so that was a clutch unit. So good props on him. His last era, I think it was pretty good, right? It came right before Chaos, and he helped a lot of challenges in Chaos. The problem is they gave him even less this time, and Silocons, who's a regular challenge runner, so I trust his opinion on this. Silocon says he tried running Leon in the Equinox challenges, and he said that Leon could do like the regular challenge. Technically, he's a time traveler, but he brought down the team's damage so much that it couldn't do any extremes.
Right.
So that's kind of a bad. I mean, there's your measuring stick. All you Leon lovers, sine wave, prove us wrong. But apparently, Leon can't even compete with current challenge champions. So we'll fucking see on that. But go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, some girl using Rosa and Leon, because some girl's playing a whole different game than the rest of us, and so you be you and enjoy that unique combo. So so for the rest of us, looking at the podcast polls, MateriaBot, thank you to Quad Salma. Check out the MateriaBot server and Patreon. 4 people chasing Titus's BT on this one. 4 people going after, I would assume, Jack's LD. 5 people using gems because they have no self-worth. And 120 people using tickets and 62 skipping. I think probably some of those people were lying. Probably just trying to pick up Titus's BT because we know it's not going to come anywhere else. So there you go. Thank you all. Let's go to the boss rush itself. Just briefly go over each of the 4 waves. It is a 4-wave Lufania. The first wave is 2 of the 3-headed Blanc Clax. The 8 bosses, the tigers, Cerberus types, I think. Their orb appears at 79% and doesn't disappear. It increases when a player uses an instant turn rate. So, instant skills, call abilities, additional abilities, instant turns, etc. They do have some powerful attacks because they are able to put that Cerberus triple ability on themselves. So if you give them turns, which I wouldn't suggest, you don't want to bring some damage mitigation and off-turn damage. Of course, there's plenty of characters that can do that. The second wave is 2 crawl bugs. Their Lufania orb again appears at 79%, doesn't disappear. It increases when player takes brave damage that is reduced or absorbed by effect, so you need some damage mitigation and have to give the boss turns unless you don't, because you can just burn through this orb again without much of an issue, depending on who your first team was. But if you do, you want to bring some damage mitigation there, and perhaps even switch out a team if you want to bring a defensive team. Offensive team for wave 1, defensive team for wave 2. But it is possible, with the right team, it's possible to get through the majority of the first 3 waves with one team. Because that's what I did the first time. Wave 3 is Evil Gaze. Those are the 3 little flying things. They have no Lufania orb. Hooray! But they have huge defense. I think some of the highest defense we've ever had in a boss in the game on this wave and on the 4th wave.
That's accurate, Mark.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. Because we said, what event did we say had it just now, and then it was surpassed by this? It was, do you remember?
Yeah, we just had an event with high, maybe someone in chat can remember. With high defense?
Yeah.
I don't remember which event. that was.
Colors? Yeah, but it was we're seeing all new highs in defense basically.
They are immune to attack down, defense, and sap, so you can't just use those generics. They have 3 modes, which are the 3 little flames around their heads. Run Wild increases their attack and speed, inflicts break status, begrudge yellow. That's where they gain the brave and HP damage resistance. And then blue, and that's the lower defense and speed. But also the most dangerous, or the least dangerous of the modes. I don't think I ever saw blue again. I don't think I saw blue the first time we fought these things. I'm not sure that blue even exists. But yeah, there is one. Again, you can bring some defensive teams there. And the Were Tigers, 3 of them you fight 3 of those evil gazes, then 3 Were Tigers in wave 4. They start with the Lufania Orb. It's only a 10 count, and it can be a tricky one because it is only increases when the boss takes at least 10,000 brave damage in 1 hit. So to fulfill that brave damage orb, you actually have to have, because their defense is ridiculous, you have to have either a lot of stacking defense down, which is possible. We already talked about some call abilities, including Shantoto, including Sephiroth, Kadaj, Tidus, Emotes. There's a lot of defense down call abilities that you can use. Jack as well, or in person. In team defense down, or you defense ignore, and we have several defense ignoring characters, or just brave damage like Porum. Her follow-up from her LD ability can do this easily, and then X-Death also can do big fat damage, but I believe you do need, maybe not with X-Death, you either need some realized high armor support, or you need realized high armor, or you need to be in a phase where you have that additional overflow so that you can hit that 10,000. So obviously blue armor or even realized armor is the easiest way to do that. There are some other ways depending on who you bring. There are other mechanics for each of these fights. But overall, I mean, the big controversy is Setzer is not synergy for this, or he is synergy, but we don't have his LD. So interestingly, in Japan, synergy for this was Leon, Jack. Who else is on that banner? Leon, Jack, and who? Tidus and Lilizet. Right? Yeah, Lilizet. Yeah, no one's bringing Lilizet. So Tidus, Leon, Jack are synergy. In Japan, it was Setzer Waka because that banner was already out, and it was Rosa Reno. Those banners were already out.
Let me check my notes. I don't think Waka was in JP.
Oh, no, it was not Waka, right? No, just Setzer.
No.
Just Setzer, but Rosa and Reno were. So we do not have those synergies. So for us, it is Lilizet, Leon, Jack, Tidus, but it is also the next 3 BTs that we're going to get, which are Arden, Kefka, Vaughn. So none of them are particularly useful right now as we speak. And, of course, Waka and Setzer and Emotes, which is a new kind of surprise. So those are all synergy characters for this event. Of course, if you bring one synergy character, everybody gets synergy. So it is nice to have those synergy characters for these events in this fight. But that does leave some question about when are we getting these other characters. Likely we will see before this event is done in 11 days, those other banners come. So if you are struggling with this, you can probably wait. That being said, there's no reason, if you have been playing a while, you should not be able to beat this with 2 teams or 3 teams. It is possible to do it with 2 teams, but it should be manageable with 3 teams without Setzer, without Vaughn, without some of these new characters that are becoming. Because again, the first few waves, I mean, the first time I ran it with, you can Tidus core your way through. I think I Tidus core Yang. That was my first blind run, and I got through 50% of the health of the 3rd wave just with those 3. right? So you can burn through. Most people have those characters. You can burn through the first 3.5 waves or 2.5 waves with just kind of some big damage. And just make sure you don't let the second the second group have enough turns, and it's not that big of a deal. And then you can play around with some different variations on the high defense thing, where you can bring some staggering defense down, or you can ignore it with Porum and X-Death, and you don't need Setzer. Or you can bring Core to that one and use his rainbows to uptick the orb. There's lots of different ways, and of course you can then bring a defensive team if you want to do it 3 teams, and play out those middle waves with a more defensive team to save you. So I think there are a lot of options. I don't think I think you should give it a try. If you're like, I'm gonna this is so dumb, why don't we have Setzer? I know Setzer, everybody used Setzer, you have to have Setzer to do this. You don't, obviously, because we've had 50 runs of people not using Setzer. So you don't have to have Setzer. You probably have some other tools in your toolbox. Obviously, if you can wait, who cares? It's your game. You play how you want to. But I did use Setzer in the last wave. Could not do it. Go figure. Yeah, try. At least you tried. Setzer, Porum, X-Death. I think they could probably take out in a 3-party team, right? They could do that. Mino, what are your thoughts on this? I love Boss Rush. I think it's a lot of fun.
I love Boss Rush.
Played it a few different times. So what did you think?
Let's see. First wave, second wave, third wave, fourth wave. Just to clear up some technicalities, because it's being discussed in chat and I see it asked of a lot of places. So tip of the hat to Drusane. True damage ticks the 4th wave orb. Gravity does not. I know Drusane has been on this huge crusade about the difference between true damage and gravity, and this is, for the first time, this is where it truly matters. And so true damage will tick this. What that means is Porum, follow-up, X-Death, apparently 7's HP plus.
Oh, wow.
I don't have 7 LD, so I don't know.
Oh.
There are a couple of other things that are true damage out there, but pure gravity, like Bart's,
nope.
Ultimecia,
Nope.
Kadaj, they're not going to hit it. So, Drusane, this is your victory. There's finally a reason to differentiate between gravity and true damage. BC, I'm looking forward to your apology video. I'm fucking serious. Okay, you said this will never matter. I want that apology video. All right, everybody fucking ping him on Discord. That's the one. Any other intricacies in this? Oh, right, yes. There are a lot of complaints on Reddit and even GL feedback by our resident male Karen about how the sharp transition of orbs between Wave 1 and Wave 2 is considered bad game design. The argument is that Wave 1 encourages instant turns, so you're supposed to no-turn the enemy, but then all of a sudden you hit Wave 2, which is reduced brave damage, and you're supposed to let them get turns. There is an inordinate amount of people upset about this. Yes.
Really?
There's an inordinate amount of people upset about this because they're like, why are the orbs opposite? I built my team 1 like this, and then I have to cancel them early so I don't fuck up the orb in Wave 2.
You don't.
This is all over the place. This is so dumb. Okay, because first of all, you can build a team that can satisfy both.
Yeah, no, but you literally, they don't have enough HP. You can literally save your summon and your burst phase for that second and burn through them. I mean, you can literally just burn through them without a problem if you bring a strong enough first team, if that's how you want to do it. And if not, then you bring 2 different teams. Who cares? Right? I mean,
there's an inordinate amount of people. I'm pretty fucking sure Inkwelder, search GL feedback on main court. This is a legitimate complaint that people are writing tickets about, calling this bad game design. This is absurd. You people are absurd.
Yeah, I know.
This is why you get 3 teams. If you need to switch a team out early, that's part of the strategy. Holy shit! Like, it's not bad that these orbs fight each other. This should not be a fucking issue.
But I mean, I don't. Regardless, that's stupid, right? Because regardless, you can switch out your team and bring in more defensive team. But you can also not. So I don't know what the argument is. So you can completely ignore the second wave just by burning through them with your first team. Or you can bring another team that's defensive and then carry that team into the third wave. And I'm not really sure. Just play better, people. I don't know. What your I don't know what your fucking problem is. Yeah, like I don't like. Yeah, like you can do it that way, or you can do it the other way, and it's fine. It's understanding.
Yeah. And I think the only other thing I have is notes on the boss rush. People are saying, why is a no synergy run of this so hard? It's boss. Like, what do you guys expect? It's tuned to super synergy, right? They're expecting you to have 3+ teams of pure synergy stats. I think I answered somebody in our Discord who asked that, and I said, I don't know how many fucking times I have to say this because I've been saying this since Eldnarsh BT. The game is getting better at synergy bias. It truly is. So there's a huge difference between running synergy, especially for boss rush, right? Because of super synergy, and not doing it. So yes, like if you want to get through this painlessly, rely on the super synergy, right?
Right.
And for Silocons out here you go. Special treat. Well, I don't know. Macnol has final say, but I'm saying if you want to attempt TCC, I'm thinking the regular will be no synergy and the extreme will be like no synergy, no BT. Usual bans of core and Tifa, etc. Have fun with it. That's all
you can bring Tifa, I think, on this one.
Oh, that's true because it's like a double, triple.
Yeah, you're gonna be she's not the most ideal.
Yeah. You're right.
So, but yeah, core definitely would be banned from this. But again, there are 5 other synergy characters or 6 other synergy characters that could be getting some buffs and nice advances here in a few days. So if you are struggling, there are going to be some more synergy options. But I think most of us probably do have some tools that can make this happen.
King Koala is saying they need to find a different way to make it harder. I know King Koala. I think you said you're a newer player. This is how gacha works. They want you to pull what's on the banner, right? Like that's just how it's gonna be moving forward.
Tunneler loot. Oh, okay, yeah. No, and you just have to figure out how to approach it. So if you're if the defense is high, bring down the defense or ignore the defense. There's different ways around it. Obviously, Setzer's way around it is to rainbow damage everything. So that's also a way around it. There are usually King Koala and other people who are struggling. There are usually more than one, and that's why we do TCC challenges. I mean, that was the initial idea behind TCC challenges. We may have to rethink moving forward in terms of the burst thing, as bursts are more common and moving into burst plus, what that looks like. But the initial idea was to see if all of these fights can be beaten without pulling on the banners that they ask you to pull on. And so to this point, the answer's always been yes. So there are usually different approaches that you can take and creative ways to do it. Yes, some of them take more skill than others. But yeah, I think we have found that for the vast majority of fights, there's a lot of different options. Yes, there are some fights that are very, very restrictive, very, very hard, and certainly worth pulling on for those particular fights to get through them. But that being said, we found ways around pretty much everything. So, Arrow, any thoughts about the boss rush?
I did boss rush live on stream yesterday. I did find it okay. So there were some weird technicals going on when I was having issues yesterday. And one of them is when you swap your party in party 1 and you're in wave 2. It was weird because I didn't think I was using a very fast team, but the tunneler guys, I don't remember their name, the little black tunneler remodels, they had I had an orb of 7 turns left. And then I had 6 turns ahead of the enemy. I was so weirded out by this. In my first team, it was I used Furion, Waka, Leon, and the team at the time. Then when I swapped out Waka, and this is before I put any debuffs or anything, and then I swapped it to a different third. I think it was Kral at this point. it was so weird. Like all of a sudden the enemy was like, oh, I only have 3 turns now, bro. And I was like, I don't think there was no debuff. So it was just so weird. I was like, what just happened? Why did it change so much? That, oh my gosh, it was just like, the orb had 7. So thankfully I was able to not have to restart, but it was just so crazy. Then, the third wave. Okay, so there I was like, okay, we're cool. We're going to be fine. We can let the enemy in the wave 3 just have all the turns they want. Well, you better bring you better bring some sort of way to instant break or like gravity shape. You know what I mean? Like just bring the Brave down to like basically nothing if they get too many turns and they go into the yellow aura, because then I had to swap that team out earlier than I wanted to because of that. And, that was kind of annoying. But so yeah, there's like this jarring thing where you have to kind of keep switching back and forth. So it's interesting trying to figure out what's the best way to kind of weave through that. I think that's what this boss rush is kind of about. It's like how flexible can you be in this, like these different very opposing situations, and that's how you're going to win this one. My team 3 did not even have synergy, but it might as well have been equal to it because of what I brought. But I brought for my teams, I did, what was it? I'm trying to remember my teams, and I can't even remember them right now. My first team, I know had Sephiroth and Aerith in it, but I cannot for the life of me remember who the third was I brought in that party. And then the second team was, in the end, it was Furion, Leon, and Cryo. And then my last team was Core and Bartz and Porum. Oh, I remember now. It was Titus in my team with Aerith and Sephiroth. There we go. I didn't want to fuss too much. Guys, like I said, I've been doing jury duty, so I may try and do a non-synergy run this weekend because it seems like this one is feasible for that. So we're going to see. But again, I think the main objective of this boss rush was to show like varying, like how flexible can you be varying through your strategies, because at this point we have a huge roster and we have a lot of damage dealers, we have a lot of this and that and the other thing. And I didn't find the last orb that bad, especially if you bring enough debuffs. Even if I hadn't brought Porum for that true damage thing, I think I was still hitting hard enough when the final wave where I would have met the requirements for that orb. So you can do it. So it's just, and that last wave doesn't even have that much health, guys. You may be able to blow through it with between summon and burst. And so I don't think it's that bad. It's not great. Sets are supposed to simplify it, but most of us probably have core Porum, and it's looking kind of likely we're going to probably get some sort of banner with Setzer, Waka, and Ami on it. Like, it's looking like that. So if you really can't do it and you really don't have the characters that you've been here for a couple months and you should have some of these characters, I'm not talking about the newest players. Boss Rush is in-game content here, like true, like roster check content. It's going to go back to what I was saying about that earlier thing with the new Lufinias. These are good roster checks. If you're going, wow, this would really fix my problem. Like if I had this kind of character on my team, like with this role, put that up there again in your head and hope we're getting those other banners really soon. So it's looking like it's not too bad, but it is definitely a boss rush about flexibility for sure. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And I even said that, the stuff I was struggling with was weird technical stuff, guys. So I'm not even going to fault like the whole greater picture of the design. It's just these weird technicals that were I was trying to figure out why they happened. And that was more like just kind of frustrating at the time. But in the grand scheme of things, I didn't find this boss rush like too like crazy. I honestly found that Tifa one harder. When you didn't have Tifa in your team, that stupid thing, that big fucking wall at the beginning. I'm sorry, guys. I that made me so mad dealing with that boss in Boss Rush 4. That wall, it was the worst. I much prefer this Boss Rush in its flexibility idea that it had in mind. Not, did you pull Tifa? You didn't? Well, good luck getting through this first wave. At the time. So back to you, Mark.
Well, if you're having trouble with the boss rush, you can join our Discord and hop on GL Help and Strategy, and there will be plenty of things. Of course, you can also go to DissidiaInfo.com and look at the boss guide, or go to the runs Call to Arms and find some other things as well. So that leads us to some of our discussion. We don't have a lot of time for discussion, but one topic that is on everybody's mind is the GL deviation from schedule. So at this point, Japan did get Setzer's LD. We did not have Setzer's LD as of yet. It looks like we are going to get that not on Titus cycle, but between Titus and Unicycle. We also got switched the triple BT banners. We got the one earlier, but it looks like we are going to get the other one here on the 30th. It is potentially on the 30th with the second Equinox event that we will have the triple BT banner and then another banner. So the stream slides did talk about multiple banners. It wasn't necessarily clear that it would be two at once or just free pulls over that event, but likely we could have two banners drop on the 30th, and one of them will be Setzer, but could certainly be Setzer, Waka, and Amita Tillian. So a lot of people throwing a lot of fits about this. Somebody on Reddit said something stupid like, there's no precedent for, jumping on, switching up events like this, and that's bullshit. And people called them out like, no, there's all kinds of precedent for this. And they're like, oh, well, I didn't start playing the game till 4 months ago. Well, yeah, obviously. Well, in the 3.5 years history of the game, yes, there's a lot of precedent for things happening like this. Time travelers, events getting delayed, Cloud's rework getting delayed back in the 35 era, Cater being delayed, Zaz jumping up, Thancred. I mean, they're just Titus getting his every 35 early, people being delayed, people not getting reworked in the same timeline. Very common. The thing is, Setzer was never shown on last month. You don't need Setzer for anything. You probably won't even enjoy playing him. You'll probably complain about how dumb he is. And so, yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of complaining about that, but we will get Setzer, and so don't worry. The question is, what will we get? What will it look like? And how much complaining will there be? So, Mino, any thoughts about the Setzer debacle?
Just to back up what you said, I know there's more. We said there's more. I did not do the thorough research I said I was going to do today, but the Cater banner was delayed. The last time this happened was entropy rewards. If you guys remember, clear a certain amount of entropy tiers, including the newest one, you get a big fat gem bonus. A lot of people were counting on JP's schedule to pull Cater and solo the hardest one. Cater was delayed very significantly. I still never heard back. I don't know, Mark. Hopefully you remember. No one ever told me definitively. Did Cater come out after that challenge ended? Or was she just tail end of that challenge?
Yeah, I don't remember definitively if she was at the very end of that or not.
I just remember that if she came out during that window, it was like a handful of days left, for sure. And then, yeah, as CSEM said, so before that, in the EX era, right before the EX era, Terra was supposed to get a rework faster for her instant cast. That was something people looked forward to very heavily. That was something that people with foresight pulled Terra on it without reading that she didn't get her rework, and were very, very upset about that. Early Terra instant casts were supposed to get us through some of early Chaos's worst shit. We did not have that option. So that was another delay. And then, of course, the infamous CSAM. I know you're an old-ass player. I mean, a veteran player. And, Cloud rework was hilariously delayed by 6+ months. Because when Cloud got his 35, they pushed back his delay, and this one was the most public. It was hilarious because Square Enix Joshua on stream said, we are pushing back Cloud's rework because we feel like he would dominate the meta too hard, and you would just not need to pull. And then a month and a half later, we get Saws 35, right? But and like some of the hardest EXs we ever saw. So no, and there's at least 3 solid examples of GL getting a worse deal than JP, and that's okay, right? It's a different game. We look at JP and we make these forecasts. All of the Square Enix streams say subject to change. They've never, I don't think Square Enix streams have ever listed something and then not given it to us.
Right.
Right? Like they didn't talk about Setzer. Everyone just assumed it based on JP timeline. And so there's a lot of precedence for this. There's a lot of precedence for when this works out, like time traveling, or when they nerf Art and Chaos co-op or 6-man co-ops, right? Like we get the good and the bad. GL is just different. That's it. It's not like objectively superior, and it's not the same plus bonuses. Things fucking change. And just on a personal note, if you're playing a game and you're relying on this foresight, because this is rare, right? Like, how many other games can you really look ahead and plan like this? It's a fucking luxury, if anything. We got Pity a year early. Like, if anything, this is a huge luxury. And if one banner being pushed back a couple of fucking days, that's the best case scenario. It might not come, who knows? But if it shows up relatively soon to match this synergy, if it's just pushed back literally less than a week more, or about a week, and this just ruins your fucking life. This just makes you want to uninstall the game. This makes you unable to do content. As BC would say, go ahead and quit. You were gonna quit anyways, right? At the first sign of resistance, at the first sign of difficulty, if you're gonna give up, you were never gonna make it in the first place. And just to put that out there on Reddit and our server, people, like, we're tired of people complaining that Setzer's not here, but I'm also personally tired of people complaining about the people complaining that Setzer isn't here. Can we just please stop talking about Setzer and just deal with it as it shows up? That's fucking all.
Yeah.
Mark? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and we are running out of time for this show, so we'll talk more about what we do get in our next edition, episode 165, next Thursday at the same time. Looking ahead, we do have part 2 of our special event on the 30th, and then Squex Community Stream next Monday, so we may be hanging around, so check out the Crystal Chronicles on Twitch if any of us go live to share what is expected for either the upcoming event, which we are looking forward to and we will cover in detail next week, the upcoming banners, which might be a surprise, and then, of course, all of the news for September Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. This has been episode 164 of the Crystal Chronicles, and for Arrow, Mino, and myself, we wish you all the best of luck on all of your polls. Good luck on all of your battles. Join our Discord, like, sub, ring the bell, whatever you're on. Support us. We appreciate it. Appreciate all of you hanging out, and until next time, good luck and goodbye.